cut out that entire loop, you now have metric savings through efficiency.
Okay, but that brings up the logical next question is, since we have a bloated military,
right,
and it's way more expensive than it needs to be to defend anybody, because it's a world's policeman, how do we rationalize California paying for any part of that?
You know, I looked at models that would allow California to have the ability to have more local control and more decisions over what we deal with. And the closest one that seemed the most realistic was subnational sovereignty. It's not perfect, but it gets us to a point that we're never going to get to through our normal ways that we've been talking about. Yes, please.
How are we going to get out of paying Social Security taxes? I mean, that's where most of our money is going, to Social Security,
right,
Medicare, and the other entitlements. I can't see the federal government letting California leave that system.
Great question. Thank you. Thank you. The fact is that the federal government has been, for the last 15 years, giving up power to California exclusively. It's given up power specifically to California for things it doesn't give up to any of the other states. So we have our own environmental regulations, where the federal government said that we are no longer, you act as a Fed. We also have our own insurance regulations, where the feds have said, you act as a Fed. We also had our own healthcare regulations, which we invented first, and then the federal government's processed. And there was a period where they effectively gave us de facto control over healthcare. So they've been giving up these powers that they don't give up to other states, and they're doing it because we're too much to handle. The Supreme Court, in the last 2 years, had 2 Supreme Court justices go to Congress, and they said, and they proposed, that there might need to be a special California Supreme Court. Here's why. California's 9th Circuit District is 40% of the national Supreme Court cases. The Supreme Court is saying that we are overloaded managing California. So why don't you take back the power? They're looking into the Supreme Court now. They've already made this decision with insurance, environmental regulations, and healthcare. Those are massive decisions. And they've given it back to pretty much just us. They're already giving up control because they're tired of handling all of our issues that don't match the rest of the country's issues, because we're not like the rest of the country. So we would simply follow that trend. Oh, yes, yes, we're not like the rest of the country. Did you know that there's 3 American presidents who said Californians are all weirdos? Did you know that?
How many of them were from California?
None. What was it?
Nixon, Reagan?
No, I'm not referring to those guys. It was, it's documented in the book. It was,
but I thought we were weirdos.
Clinton, they may have considered us, but there's at least actual quotes of presidents saying, we consider you strange and different. And these presidents go back up to the last century. This concept that we're different goes all the way back. Did you know that California almost seceded from the Union before the southern states ever did? And did you know that the Transcontinental Railroad was not built to show off American engineering might, but because Lincoln heard that the state of California, only years after joining the Union, was considering a secession, and he didn't want a 2-front secession war. So he wanted to connect California with the state of America. That's documented, and it's in the book. This goes all the way back. Did you know that we had 1 secession attempt in 1880, 1 in 1930, 1 in 1940, 1 in the 1970s, and we had 1 in 2005. We're already talking about this, and the feds already talked about how we're strange, and they're already giving up powers, and you already have Americans saying, we don't